Thank you so much, Grewal sir. Good evening, KK Mehta sir. Good evening, Shashi, and good evening, Sartaj. It was my pleasure to be part of this wonderful session on Zeiss. So I'm just sharing my screen. Can you see my screen, sir?
Yes, sir, we can see your screen.
So I'll be talking about advancement in optical biometry. This is my financial disclosure. I am KOL to Carl Zeiss India. So coming to the introduction part, measuring various dimensions of the eye, its component and their interrelationships, and using this data to determine the ideal intraocular lens power. So uh, essentially it consists of a keratometry reading together with an ultrasonic measurement of axial length of the eye. If you think about claims relating to biometric errors or even wrong intraocular lens power were probably the second most frequent cause of claims and result in payment of damages almost in 62% of the cases. So coming to the keratometry, it is used to measure the corneal curvature done before axial length measurement. There are two types of keratometers. One is manual keratometer, one is auto keratometer, where keratometers are incorporated in, especially in IOL Master and Lenstar. Coming to the topography, as we all know that Placido-based, this based or elevation-based topography. Coming to the manual keratometry, basic principle is fixed object and variable image size, along with the fixed image and the variable object size. This is what we used to use before Bosch and Lab and Joule suits. So coming to the automated keratometer principle, here it focuses the reflected corneal images onto an electronic photosensitive device which instantly records the size and computes the radius of curvature. So normally very important here is central 3 mm zone. So there are two types of axial length measurement. One is optical and ultrasound. So these are the principle behind the ultrasound. The ultrasound probe has a piezoelectric crystal that electrically emits and receives high frequency sound waves. So measurement is from the anterior corneal surface to the internal limiting membrane. Suppose if you do a 1 mm error, that leads to almost 2.5 diopters in postoperative refraction. So 50% of a surgeon postoperative surprise are A-scan error. And even errors of 50% or more always A-scan related. So coming to the immersion technique, the time consuming, it is less expensive, require the patient to be supine. But the shell what we use in immersion technique is Prager or Osoing shell. But these are the few limitations with the immersion. This everybody should know. After a single immersion biometry measurement, if you take 18 out of 34 samples, almost around 53%, which grew the organism either in the probe or shell or tubing. So even positive culture were found in 32% of the immersion probes. So you have to be very, very careful, especially the shell and the probe should be soaked in alcohol or hydrogen peroxide for at least 5 minutes. The immersion shell should be allowed to dry completely and flushed with balanced salt solution. So sometimes even you may have this problem, inadequate patient fixation, especially patient with nystagmus, patient with low vision, blepharospasm, and a patient with the squint. So coming to the posterior staphyloma, it causes an irregular shape of ocular wall, and because of that there is an inability to display a distinct and high retinal spike. So what happens, the deepest portion of the staphyloma may be located eccentric to the macula, thus the measurement may be longer than the true axial length. So of course I think we all dealing this, especially silicon oil filled, when you are doing the ultrasound. Here the low sound velocity can result in pronounced sound attenuation and difficulty in identifying the retinal spikes. So these are the advantage with the optical biometer. Of course, it is 5 times more accurate than the ultrasound. Proven operator independent. I think anybody, your technician can operate this. And of course, you need not have to train, it will not take much time to train them also. And even for patient convenience also, it's very easy because it's non-contact and you need not have to put any anesthetic drop. So let me come to the main part of this today talk is about the optical biometer. So let me talk about the principle of initial IOL Master 500. So the main principle is based on the partial coherence interferometry. Diode laser almost around 780 nanometer measures the echo delay and intensity of infrared light reflected back from the tissue interface. So the principles of lens star is little different. It is based on the low coherence optical reflectometry. But in IOL master, number of points tested is 6 points in the hexagonal pattern. In lens star, number of points tested is almost 32 points in two circle. So zone of cornea tested inner circle diameter almost 1.6 mm, 65 mm and outer circle diameter is around 2.3 mm. This is about the lens star. Now let me talk about the principles of IOL Master 700. Basically, this is different technology altogether. It's based on the soft source OCT technology that provides an image-based measurement, allowing you to view the complete longitudinal section of the eyeball. So, see, if you can see here, as I already said that IOL Master 500 is basically the principle is behind a partial coherence interferometry, but here this is basically a swept source biometry which is launched in 2015. The greatest advantage, it can take around 2000 scans per second. So these are the few silent feature like it measure the axial length in approximately almost in 0.4 second and especially designed to measure the axial length along with the visual axis. This is very, very important. It also uses a lateral slit illumination of the crystalline lens and the cornea to determine the ACD, antechamber depth, and autokeratometry to estimate the corneal curvature. It also measures the posterior corneal curvature. This is very, very important, which is very much helpful in the newer IOL formulas. These are the advantage of IOL Master 700 over lens star, especially when you're doing the biometry in posterior subcapsular cataract. Normally, what happens with the lens star? It goes near to the nodal point of the lens, so more light rays affected. Thus, it becomes little difficult. But in IOL Master 700, it overcomes this problem. And also very important, especially if you're having a lens tilt or lens decentration, it can detect very easily. This is about the product of IOL Master 700. As I already said that it works on the Swift-Source OCT, B-scan biometry. See, unlike other biometry, B-scan biometry, there is a one more biometry available in the market, but the penetration of this B-scan is not up to the what IOL Master 700 gives. Because why I'm telling you, I kept a one more competitive brand just to have a comparison, but the results what we get with IOL Master 700 is amazing. So I think even it's very much useful in especially when sometimes you get a refractive surprise. I will not be talking about much about the how it gets take out the keratometer reading, and of course it gives the very important 7 parameters. It gives axial length, antechamber depth, lens thickness, central corneal thickness, very important white to white. But I don't take this white to white when I'm doing for a phakic lenses, but it gives a fairly good white to white measurement, keratometry, and of course, as I think KK Mehta sir do agree with this, especially if you want to have a good markerless system in your OT. I think this results can incorporate it into the Callisto system. But what is the greatest thing about, if you can see here, intumescent cataract? See, it can, I think, almost 99% of the cases of intumescent cataract, it penetrates through. Even ultrasound, only 92% of the case it gets the reading. But here, 99% of the cases it takes the reading. That is one of the phenomenal feature of this. Even see the foveal, you can see for a foveal pit also for good fixation or whether it's a poor fixation or not. I will not be, this is just a few of the example I am showing you. I will not go much detail. And this is a one more example to see for a foveal pit, whether it is a poor fixation is or not. And here, see the previous slide, see if you take a repeatability between the two measurement. See, if you take here, see here around 25.10, here 25.09. That means not much difference in the two repeated reading. So it gives more confidence to the doctor. So this is, I'll not talk much about, but once again, I want to tell more about this markerless system, how it is incorporated, especially when you're operating a premium IOL, where you want to put the incision. Then when you do the toric IOL implantation, you can take in that, then straight away you can go into the OT. I'll take just a 1 minute. So coming to the different formulas available, I'll not talk about different formulas, but very important, it can take up almost 7 parameters. As I already said that axial length, AC depth, white to white, age of the patient, lens thickness, central corneal power, and previous refraction. And very important, you can find about the effective lens position. So I will not be talking about much. What are the factors affecting the effective lens position? So these are the formulas. It can get incorporated in this, and even the toric suit also can be taken up from this machine. Even special cases when you are doing biometric, this just 1 second. Can you hear me? Okay, thank you.
Yes, doctor, sir. We can hear you.
Yeah, last my slides are not moving. Probably you might have muted there. Okay, now fine. I'll go to a last this one. In conclusion, due diligence has to be undertaken during the biometry to prevent post-operative refractive surprises. A proper history, use of optical biometry, and the specific formula is utmost important. In customization of cataract surgery, biometry is primary. Once again, I thank Zeiss for this wonderful opportunity.